we got an immediate second half substitution. It wasn't just any substitution. We saw 4 players come
Oof.
into this second half. For those of you who were not watching, or maybe if you want to be reminded, watching on HBO Max, I thought it was cool that they had the very quick halftime interview. Mitch Purse saying, "Yeah, we got to do better." In this second half, we're probably going to get a little bit of a talking to. Got to have more urgency, and sure enough, that was the case in the second half. We saw multiple players coming on in. Crystal Dunn getting a full 45 minutes. Sofia Huerta coming on in for her. Trinity Rodman getting into the game. And I think that's where we need to focus on a little bit in terms of players who had an impact for this team for the second half. When you looked at these 4 players coming into the game, was there anyone that you were looking at and saying, like, this is the player that we need and that's who's going to make the difference in this one?
Yeah, I mean, I love these subs coming in. We saw Alana Cook, Sofia Huerta, Andy Sullivan, and then my game changer, Trinity Rodman.
Yeah.
Hands down, this is a player that I wanted to see come in and make a difference. We know what Rodman can do. We know the spaces she can occupy, and reflecting on that first half, the United States was finding the most success when they were in the wide areas of the field, when they had the ball in the width and they were sending those crosses in. That's where we saw a near goal from Mitch Purse in that first half that went off the back post. That's where we saw Alex Morgan get in behind the back line. That's where we saw the set piece coming in from Emily Fox's first half opportunity coming in from the wide areas. And that's where Trinity Rodman thrives, in those wide spaces. So I think that the game called for Rodman, and the fact that we got to see her at the 45-minute mark was fantastic. I think that when you look at these other subs, right, Alana Cook, Sofia Huerta, Cook in for Girma, and Huerta in for Dunn. I mean, Dunn coming out, that was a minute management and getting Huerta some time. So then we saw, because of that, we saw Emily Fox switch back to the left side of the field, and Sofia Huerta stay on that right side where she traditionally is. But that was more like minute management. I think that we could have seen Dunn a little bit longer. It was nothing that Dunn did. It was nothing that Huerta did. It was more just like, okay, we got to switch this up. And I think similarly for an Alana Cook and Naomi Girma, it's trying to find that center back pairing, and who works really well alongside of Becky Sauerbrunn in that back line in front of Alyssa Nair. And so it's a like for like switch there in that position. And then, I mean, Sullivan and Korniak, clearly he's trying to decide which one of them can occupy that 6 role better and differently. But Trinity Rodman for me was the super sub that needed to happen, and I was thrilled to see her name and her face pop up there.
Yeah, I'm with you 100%. I think it's pretty apparent that maybe some of these were planned, whether it was at the center back position or for Dunn, who's working her way back into being a fully 90-minute fit type of player. But I do wonder if maybe, that defensive mid role was also something that was a planned sub. Maybe they gave Korniak a certain amount of task and assignment for that first half, and they wanted to switch things out if they didn't sort of see things coming to fruition. So perhaps that was something that was planned. And I don't know if Trinity Rodman coming in for Mitch Purse was something that was necessarily planned, just because I thought that Purse had a decent first half. But maybe they were just trying to get some different looks into wide areas, because again, there was some space there for this team to utilize. They just weren't able to capitalize it within that first half. But it takes all but 2 minutes for Rodman to make an impact in this game. You're looking at a Mel Swanson who gets on the end of this ball and just whips it into the box. And we're talking again, another point blank opportunity. Rodman gets ahead on it, but misses the target. But we're talking maybe around the 48th minute or so. It doesn't take very long for her to get a player. And I love that energy kept going, because you have just in this sequence, just a few minutes later, they flip the script. You have Rodman to Swanson, this time on the opposite side, Rodman controlling the ball on the right side, getting the ball into the box, and Mel Swanson heading it away. First goal for Mel Swanson, maybe not for Mel Pugh, but you love to see it. USA go up 1-0 in the 52nd minute.
Yes, Mallory Swanson, her 26th goal. Swanson's first, but Mallory 26th goal, and the assist from Rodman. I think that partnership that we saw immediately develop, as you said, as soon as the second half started. Rodman getting opportunities, Mallory Mallory Swanson, excuse me, finding different spaces and occupying them, whipping those balls in. That's the electricity and the spark that was missing throughout the first half. The disjointedness that we saw in the first 40 minutes was shaken away by the cobwebs in the second half. It's almost like, as Midge Purce said heading into the half, hey, we're going to get a talking to. Perhaps the talking to was, what are you guys doing? Have fun, play soccer, move off the ball, like do everything that basically, like the basics of soccer. That's what they were missing. It looked so stiff and um, congested during the first
Yeah.
half. And I think that you have to look a little bit at the competition too. Like this New Zealand side, we talked about them a little bit in our preview. This was 8 uncapped players on this starting lineup for New Zealand, 5 of them collegiate players still in the United States. This was a really young group in front of a sold out record breaking crowd in Wellington. They had a lot to prove. And heading into the halftime at 0-0, I think New Zealand is pretty pleased with themselves about being able to hold the United States scoreless for 45 minutes, limit their opportunities, limit their shots on goal. And that was something that shouldn't be happening. And that's why you play these games. That's why you test the United States, because they can't go into a World Cup game and start a first half like that. You're not going to be able to climb your way back into a game like they were able to do. And although it didn't take long in the second half, they were getting chances in 3 minutes in, and they get their first goal at the 52nd minute. And then they get 2 more in the span of 10 minutes. But that's not how it's going to work in 4 months' time when you are playing in New Zealand again at that same stadium again against the Netherlands in the second round group stage game. It's just not going to work. So there was a lot of questions posed for this team, but the fact that they were able to get on the board in the 52nd minute, and it was very characteristic of the United States the way it unfolded, that is a huge bright spot.
It was entirely too stagnant in that first half, despite the small spurts or the small moments that we saw. But I love that one of the literal adjustments in this game was just like, hey, try to get the ball to Rose Lavelle as much as possible and see what happens. Get the ball to your playmaker is definitely an adjustment. And it just sort of felt like once they got that breakthrough goal, you could kind of tell that the floodgates opened a little bit. And
Right.
now they were cooking. Because we see that goal in the 52nd minute. We see Alex Morgan have the go-ahead goal for this team right around the 59th minute hour mark or so. And this goal, my God, this back heel flick. I'm like rubbing my eye. It was so good. This just casual, like the way that Roosevelt just made this look so casual. Just this very chill back heel flick pass to Alex Morgan on a run into the box. And then Morgan, being selfish and saying, you know what, I can actually take these shots from angles. I've done them my entire career. She gets the shot off on an angle, connects far post, and now the team is up to 2-0. It's one of those goals where it's just like, yes, this is what we're about.
It's what Alex Morgan had the opportunity to do in the first half when she ends up potentially crossing it to Swanson on the back post. She's just got to finish that. And that's what we see around the hour mark from Morgan. I agree that the cheeky back heel from Rose Lavelle to Alex is classic Rose Lavelle. I think Rose Lavelle had a tremendous game the entire time she was on the pitch. First half, although disjointed, although there were moments of bad soccer and uncertainty about what was happening on the pitch, I think Rose still played well in that first half, and we saw her continue to come to life as the floodgates opened in the second half. She really found her rhythm, and those are the pockets that you want Rose Lavelle in. You want her with 3 defenders on her back to goal, and the ability to understand where the gaps is, where the holes are, and the players she's surrounded by, specifically Alex Morgan in this situation, knowing that she's going to make this run, even if it's a little off her, she's going to try to get there and she's going to look to finish it. And that's exactly what happened for Rose Lavelle, right? 60 minutes we got to see from her. And I think a really good 60 minutes from Rose Lavelle. It's consistency from Lavelle that I'm loving.
Well, she gets this assist on this go ahead goal by Morgan, and it's right around that hour mark, and we're talking about substitutions coming in here and making an impact, and we got to see more players come into this game and continue this sort of this quick succession of attack for the team. We got to see Ashley Sanchez sub in immediately after that goal by Alex Morgan, and we're talking about players where they just need minutes to make an impact. Where we saw Rodman connecting with Swanson right out of the gate of the second half. The same case for an Ashley Sanchez in this game, also connecting with Mallory Swanson just 2 minutes after touching grass into this game.
Beautiful.
Mallory
That's what you
Pugh
want.
makes it 3-0.
That's what you need. That's the point of a substitute, that you don't have 15 minutes to get into the game. You don't have time to get touches, to understand what the opposition's doing, to find the spaces. That's what you should have been doing the first 60 minutes of the game. And that's exactly what Rodman was doing throughout the first half. So she could step on the pitch and make an impact. And we saw the exact same thing from Ashley Sanchez stepping on in the 60th minute for Rose Lavelle, and she gets an assist 2 minutes later. As you said, that is the impact that we need to be seeing from players for the United States coming off the bench, hands down. And that ends up being the third goal for the United States. Swanson's second. She ends up getting a brace in those minutes, and before you know it, it's 3-0 for the United States in the span of 10 minutes, thanks to substitutes and thanks to young players, Trinity Rodman and Ashley Sanchez, hands down.
A double for Mallory Pugh in this game. It was her fourth international brace for Swanson. No hat tricks yet, but we'll see if that'll change in 2023. Speaking about all that off the ball movement that we were so hungry for in that first half, seeing this team kind of spark to life in this second half, we also got to see the return of Lynn Williams in this game. So Mallory Pugh makes her exit after recording the 2 goals. And Lynn Williams comes in around the 67th minute. And it was, listen, clap, 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 applause, applause, applause. Almost a year-long absence, around 10 months or so from this team. Lynn Williams out nearly all of 2022 with that hamstring injury which required surgery. That's not an easy surgery to come back from. And yet, here comes Lynn Williams. She's arrived into this game, and at this point, the United States have already unlocked some things, and yet we see this return of Lynn Williams to the game, and I've referred to her as sort of this kind of preferred Andonovsky type of player. This is a player that we've seen prior to her injury be featured in constant camps with the senior women's national team during Andonovsky's time, and really that prototypical player within the system that he's been trying to present, which requires frequent off the ball movement. And you see a player like Lynn Williams and what she can provide for this team in just a matter of minutes. And while you're looking at a player who's likely has to work into a full 90-minute game, it was great to see her get out there and get some time. I particularly love this one sequence, and it's not her actual goal, but I really love this one sequence where we see Herrera we see Alex Morgan connect with Trinity Rodman out wide. Morgan making the correct decision to get it to the young one and let her get up into space. And Rodman, right, she's got the ability to get down there quickly, but all of a sudden is kind of solo. And I'm like, oh no, like we did all this work to get Trinity Rodman into space out wide, and there's no help. And as soon as I think this thought, a wild Lynn Williams appears, and I'm like, oh, that's wonderful. Isn't it wonderful to have support in the channels? And it's Lynn Williams, and it ends up paying off in the end because these two connect for a goal. Trinity Rodman in a different sequence sends a ball in, and Lynn Williams showing off those hops, even though it was a very, very difficult injury that she came back from. It looking good, able to get the height on this one and head a 4th goal away for the women's national team.
Lynn Williams scores this 7 minutes after stepping onto the pitch. It's the second assist of the night for Trinity Rodman after she subbed on at the half. I think that with Vlatko Andonovski and with this team, you have to be so proud of the subs and what they were able to do, because the role of a substitute is to come in and to change the game. And you're exactly right. The combination play between Rodman and Williams, it started on a throw-in, the sequence for this fourth goal, and Rodman being so comfortable under pressure, being so comfortable in the flanks and alone, isolated. She doesn't need the overlapping run for the help, because she's got the vision to see the multiple options that she has as soon as she receives the ball. And that's what you saw. If you watch it, you can see Rodman kind of playing in her mind, okay, what can I do with this ball? What are the different choices I have, the different options? Oh, look at this beautiful run from Lynn Williams. We're going to find her there. And this is all happening in the matter of seconds, which is what you need from these players playing at the highest level, and what we didn't see in the first half. I'm going to be completely honest. And this was beautiful. I mean, this Williams header, I was so happy for her. You could see the joy on Lynn Williams' face after coming back from an injury to make this camp, to get minutes in this game. 7 minutes after being subbed in, she ends up getting this goal to put the cherry on top for the United States. Lynn Williams was over the moon. Her teammates were over the moon. It was pure joy on the pitch. The team was having fun by that 74th minute, just relaxed and playing the game they love and they know so well. It was beautiful, that moment to see.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it just sort of capped off the night for me and this team, and obviously a first half that they wanted to forget and that they made up for in the second half. But good things, I think, for this team in that second half to build off in their second game against New Zealand. And that's what's next for this team. They're going to head down over to Auckland now and face New Zealand in the second of this 2-game series. Game is going to take place on Friday, January 20th. You can catch the game on HBO Max, obviously, and all other streaming services. Eden Park is where the game is going to take place for this one.